evening, and welcome to QI, the home from home of the discerning couch potato. Plumping my cushions tonight are Phil Jupitus, Joe Brand, Jessica Stevenson, and TV's mop top, Alan Davis. Now, tonight's edition is all about domesticity. Dry cleaning, dishwashers, dustbusters, dirt devils, detergent, door hinges, and the like. And we have familiar domestic noises to match. Joe goes... I'm sorry. Phil goes... Jessica goes... Oh, I know that. It's a Pifco Tresmatic 17. And Alan goes... Oh, good. So all genders are comfortably assigned their tasks. Tell me something interesting now about dry cleaning.
They put your clothes on the radiator and then they fold them.
Well, no, that's interesting, because... You're saying dry cleaning is therefore well named?
Yeah. Well, there's steam. Is there steam involved?
Not steam, no, but it's a wet clean. It's just not water. It's a chemical solvant, perchloroethylene, known as perc.
Dry cleaning is actually something spies do, isn't it? The sort of procedures they go through to try and find out whether they're being followed or not.
Well, I'll give the young lady girl some points. Absolutely right, yes. They do sudden U-turns when they're driving, and they dip into shops and go out the back exits and
Check
so on.
whether an umbrella's just about to go up their arse.
It's that kind of thing, exactly. And they call it dry cleaning for some reason. So while we're on the subject of dry cleaning materials, what use did Ray Davis have for 100,000 gallons of dry cleaning fluid in 1964?
Had the kinks run out of crack?
Not that, I don't think crack had been invented in 1964, but there is Ray. You're no relation, are you?
No relation that I know of.
No.
Did he have a dry cleaning shop?
We put up a picture of Ray Davis because you mentioned the Kinks, but this particular Ray Davis, who's a physicist, and he wanted to find out how many neutrinos were being beamed out of the sun, and so he had this huge pit dug in Leadville. There he is.
Oh, Ray Davis!
Yeah! You see?
Oh,
He's rather endearingly known as Ray Davis Jr., actually. And he had all this done, 50,000 feet nearly underground, because neutrinos are weird things that go through everything. There are millions literally going through your body now, all the time. They have no mass. They go through light years thickness of lead. Just like that, without leaving a trace.
So this Mr. Davis here, as we have a panel of ladies tonight for a change, Stephen, hot or not?
What do you reckon? Would you?
I think he is hot.
Yeah?
Waiting under the sun to count the
after a few
neutrinos.
pints of dry cleaning fluid, I'd
Would you have a cracker tip? Would you?
I'd wave my crack.
Wave your cracker tip. Can you do that with cracks? I don't think you can.
You can if you've got a specially designed trolley.
Well, the reason he had this dry cleaning fluid is there's lots of chlorine in perchloroethylene, and one neutrino will change it to one atom of argon, so you can know how many neutrinos have hit it, and then you know how much neutrino activity is coming from the
Is this
sun.
every time you talk like this, can a physicist do a shot? Is this some kind of bizarre physics drinking
Well,
game?
it is. No, it's at the very basis of all our understanding of the universe, is to try and understand the neutrino.
So is it... Just run it by me again.
You've got neutrinos streaming, solar neutrinos, streaming from the sun.
Solar neutrinos.
Billions and billions
but
and billions
if neutrinos
a
are
second.
everywhere, how do you distinguish between the solar neutrinos and any other neutrinos? I'm sorry, I just...
You know, you're so right. They are essentially invented to make the mathematics of modern physics work.
Right.
Some people believe they really are the secrets of the entire universe.
I am finding this absolutely fascinating, but if we could have the picture of Ray up again, I think the most extraordinary thing, a bloke in marigolds, I think that...
He's only got yellow because probably Mrs. Davis got them. I've got your new work gloves, Ray. Are the neutrinos going through me now? Yes, dear. I can never feel them.
What did he do with all the dry cleaning fluid afterwards? Did he then open
It's a
a dry
very good
cleaning
point, because
shop?
it's hazardous waste.
Chuck it in the river.
Probably. It was deep down in the ground. It's probably still there in Leadville. Leadville, South Dakota, rather than Leadville, Colorado, I believe.
Oh, he's American, is he?
Ah, yeah, you see.
But he doesn't look American.
I know what you mean. He looks like Stanley
he looks like
Unwin.
he's in a shed in Gloucestershire.
He's not a howdy, is he? He's a hello. I'm Ray.
But he has one thing that he is in the Guinness Book of Records.
The biggest penis in physics.
Oh, dear. No. He was the oldest ever winner of the Nobel Prize. 88 years old, he won the Nobel Prize.
I think he is related to me, actually.
You see,
Yeah, the Nobel Prize winner. I've heard of him at Christmas. Your cousin Ray won a Nobel Prize. Are you busy? Of course you're not.
A little more domestic science now, I think. What was the propulsion system used for the very first vacuum cleaner? Oh, my dear Phil.
Mr. Kingdom Brunel, I believe, fashioned a 95-ton steam-powered Hoover that sucked his entire house into it. Which is why, when you see those photos of him by the big chains, he always looks so grumpy. Because he has to get in the bag every night to go to bed.
Where do you think... I'll turn to the girls, because you'll know far more about vacuum cleaners. I'm joking, of course, it's post-ironic something or other. Which country do you think first saw
I think it was in England.
It was, it's
I
correct.
think it was like a couple of really energetic hamsters sort of running round on a wheel.
Well,
Someone thrashed them.
they were horse-drawn. The horses weren't actually powering the vacuum.
Horse-drawn
The first
Hoover?
one was a horse-drawn Hoover. Why would that be, do you imagine?
Is it farming related?
Not farming related. It was simply that they were so vast. You couldn't sell an individual one to a house. It was a cleaning service done from the street. Obviously, the hoses went in through the window. And the clever thing was he had transparent tubes, so everybody would gather around and watch the dust being sucked in and go, ooh, and ah, and hurrah.
Do you do hoovering?
Do you hoover?
Do you hoover? Do you hoover?
Brenda Hoover's in my...
Brenda. She's your...
Whilst listening to the soundtrack of Mamma Mia on an iPod.
Wearing nothing but frinny panties?
She's 59.
I have a quotation for you here, especially for you, Joe. How do you know if it's time to wash the dishes and clean your house?
Oh, because bubonic plague has broken out?
This is a quotation from a dictionary of comic quotations, and the author of the quotation is one Jo Brand.
Oh, that one. She's crap.
The other is, look inside your pants. If you find a penis in there, it's not time. There you are. Do you understand that?
I think that's my grandmother. She's always saying things like that.
Anyway, there's your vacuuming. Hubert Cecil Booth, 1903, he invented it. He was from Gloucestershire. But from housework, I think, to homework. Complete the following sentence using the appropriate adverb. That's the word that usually ends in ly. So, the first practical dishwasher was invented to wash dishes more quickly.
Yes.
Oh, dear, no.
Thoroughly.
Not thoroughly.
Cleanly.
Oh, dear. Firing them up now. You're doing well on the adverbs.
Yes, I've
But
used
it's
several
neither
adverbs.
quickly nor cleanly.
More often than women could be asked to.
Daily.
Not more.
See what I did there?
Not more daily, no. It's
Steamily!
Soundly.
Slowly.
not more slowly, but
Fastly.
Safely.
safely is the right answer. Well done. Well done, Jessica. Excellent. Yeah, the inventor was an American woman, and she was very rich, so she didn't need to wash the dishes herself, so it wasn't done as a labour...
Mrs. Hotpoint.
Her name was Cochrane.
Oh, mama!
Joe...
You thought Raymond Davis was Foxy.
Yeah.
She was from a quite grand family. Her great-great-grandfather, John Crazy Fitch, invented the steamboat because he said, I'm going to get this boat, it's going to have steam driving the wheels. And
You're
he said,
crazy, John! You're crazy!
And it just sort of stuck.
Just watch me.
Yeah. But she had 17th century porcelain, which she was very fond, and her servants were forever chipping it as they washed up. And one night, She actually dismissed them for the evening, said, I'm going to wash up and show you how it can be done without chipping. And she found she was chipping things, so she said, I need to invent a machine that will wash without chipping. So the idea of the racks, to put them all in separately so they never knock against each other. And it was a huge success. And when her husband died in 1883, leaving her virtually penniless, she actually needed it. She built a small one and a big one, and a big one could do 200 dishes in 2 minutes and dry them. It cost $250, which was a huge amount then. I'm talking about the 1880s. It was really hotels and big institutions that bought them, but it won first prize at the World's Fair in Chicago in 1893.
Is that her there?
That's the wonderful World's Fair of Chicago, which was a great event in its own. They had the world's first Ferris wheel, designed by George
Clooney.
And Mildred.
First Ferris wheel.
George Ferris.
Yes, well done, you see. You've made up for a little bit of embarrassment early on. But there we are. In the words of Emma Bombeck, housework can be fatal if you do it right. In Britain, the odds of being killed in an accident in your home are the same as those of being killed in a car crash. In 2003, a woman in Scotland was killed in a freak dishwasher accident.
What
She
happened?
slipped on the floor and fell onto a knife sticking out of the cutlery basket.
That's right.
Sure, you put the knives
I've
in
cut my palm
point
doing
down, don't you?
Well, sometimes you get a better clean on the blade if it's blade up.
I clean my knives in a crossbow. Some people say it's foolish. I put them in the Hoover and set it on blow and then just shoot water at them around the kitchen as I sit with a plug, bare wired at my feet, peeing on it. Gotta get a better clean.
What was the second commonest cause of death for women up to the year 1800? Yes.
Kestrels.
What a wild stab in the dark.
Childbirth.
Childbirth was number one.
Oh, right.
Very good that you...
Was Kestrels number 2?
It was number 2 I was asking for, and I took that to be your answer
Oh,
first
right.
time round.
Was it dehydration from having to lick the carpet clean because hoovers haven't been invented?
Were these deaths at night? Because I could go with owls.
Let me say, it's no kind of bird of prey.
Not even a swan.
Not even... No.
Swans flying at women really hard.
What a
with stiff necks till they went through their bodies like a javelin.
No. It's a nice
Women
image.
lying all over the British countryside with
I
swans.
know.
Riding accidents.
No?
No.
Is it horse riding accidents?
No, that's, if I may say so, a great deal more intelligent, and I don't mean that in a patronising
Beaten
way.
to pulp by the husband.
Oh, hello. No, domestic violence was not it. It was
Beaten to a
domestic.
pulp by their sons.
That would still be domestic violence.
Falling
Was
down the
it
stairs.
Being ducked
It was
as a witch
trying to do
drowning?
something. It was engaged in a domestic
Cooking.
activity. Cooking is the right answer, yes.
Death by cooking.
Yeah, largely because their dresses would catch fire. I don't know why that's funny, but it is.
The second most common cause of death.
After childbirth, amongst
What happened to you? I set light to herself in a...
I bet a lot of their husbands came in and went, blimey, that's a big roasty.
Well, a quick scoot round now. Some handy household hints that I want you to help me with. Joe, what's a good way to create the impression that you've cleaned the house when you haven't?
Just lock the door and kill everyone.
This is to create that awful word, freshness.
Open the window?
Well, you'd think, frankly, that is...
Drink some lavender water and have a piss.
Every time you get a minicab home, nick the little tree off of his mirror.
I'm no fan of this tip, and it only works in the autumn and winter months. You spray or apply furniture polish to a radiator, and it fills the room with the smell of furniture polish. These hints are either from a book called Trade Secrets by Catherine Lapworth and Alexandra Fraser, or from Super Hints by
I know
the lady...
those two.
Do you know...
Slags, the pair of them.
What do you know? There's a book called Super Hints by the Lady Waddington.
Yeah, I know her.
Do you know the Lady Waddington?
She's a bitch. So, you know, let's get on to more practical...
All right, OK,
applications.
Jessica, we'll try this one. How would you treat silk like spaghetti and vice versa?
What, store it in a jar? Or
There's
cook
something
it
you can
with
do to each of them.
bolognese?
Throw it against the wall, see if it sticks.
Ah! But what sort of wall?
Kitchen.
A kitchen wall.
Take it round the house and find the wall. Can I come in? What if I come in? Your dinner's ready.
Whereas in the case of silk, why would you throw silk against the wall?
Well,
Having a
passion,
fit,
you know.
You'd throw silk against a brick wall. It would stick if it...
If it was silk.
If it were silk, exactly. It's a test to see if it's not polyester
very
or
good.
crimplin or something.
But it's ruined then, once you've peeled it off again.
Well, it doesn't stick like spaghetti. It just catches and you just pull it off.
Took the paint off my kitchen wall, the spaghetti.
Yes, but the silk wouldn't take anything off your brick wall. That's all vice versa.
Nonetheless, Brenda wouldn't chance it now. If she saw any silk stuck on the wall, she'd leave it.
So, Phil, what would you clean with A, a stick of rhubarb?
Dog's arse, next.
A dog's arse, right.
Right, get it
And
right in
B,
there. Get it in.
one use per stick of rhubarb?
I wouldn't be putting it in the crumble if that's what you're asking.
Brown sauce is
Brown
the next
sauce?
one, yes.
I'm bracing myself for the sirens, but coins.
Window.
They would clean them. No, windows, no, I don't think. No. Not windows. No. No, really, I mean, coins was a good answer. I mean, copper and brass, yeah. But I don't want you to get all excited and think, my God, I've got 2 points for that, because actually the rhubarb sticking it up a dog's ass is not right. Some people say aluminium saucepans come up lovely with the rhubarb, but certainly silver. Silver does very well.
Clean silver with rhubarb?
How do you do that with a sort of stick? I mean,
Yeah, you just rub it in like that and then you buff it
Because
off.
if I walked into a room and saw a man rubbing rhubarb on my silver, I would beat him to within an inch of his life and call the police. And then you walk in there and he's doing what you've recommended. Morning. The dog's in the other corner looking a bit nervous.
Well, anyway, it seems to be true. These are good, ecologically sound things. We may have to return to the days when we used lemon and vinegar and brown sauce.
I'd never get my coppers out my pocket and think they look a bit dull.
You're the ones who suggested coins. I was saying a kettle, for example, or any other...
No one has a kettle like that. What are you plugging that? Look at it.
You
We don't all live in a fluffy, duffy Dickensian world of charm like you. Oh, there goes the kettle. And on the Arga.
It's a perfectly sensible way of cooking food and preparing meals, and it keeps the kitchen warm. It's so...
I wonder if f***ing Twinings had you, pal. It was fun.
I feel
Man of copper kettles and proper porcelain tea. China. England. Cricket.
Can you do an advert where you're cleaning a kettle with some brown sauce?
I jolly well will now.
Stephen Fry for HP.
Oh, you're ineffably silly, but totally on fire, and that's wonderful. You should have some points somewhere along the line, but not for the rhubarb up the dog's arse. Alan, your chance to shine, but not in this case kettles. What is the cheapest way to remove bloodstains from clothes? Let's imagine if you cut yourself shaving and you got a spot there.
The cheapest way?
Yeah.
Right, you have to go down the river and beat it on a rock.
Quicker than that. I mean, keep the shirt on almost.
Hot water, spit.
Oh, you're right. Your own saliva. Yeah. Suck it out.
Can I just say I'm so impressed you've got a picture of my husband in our fantasy sex.
What do you wear in this scene?
I sort of kind of chop one of my limbs off and kind of make myself white and just lie there like this. And he comes
looms in.
gives me an injection, cleans me arse with a bit of rhubarb, and then we watch Neighbours. It's great.
You see, there's no need to go out on the town beating people up and drinking Bacardi breezes. You can have innocent time. So, I know about hoodies and pikeys and chabs. Now, ladies, put up your feet a moment, because this one's for father and younger son only. Phil and Alan, tell us something interesting about door hinges.
door hinges used to be made out of wood,
Yes.
but they weren't very effective. And so then they started making them out of metal, and it's got a lot better since then.
You can clean them with brown sauce.
Well, that's true. That is true. Have you ever hung a door on its hinges? Have you ever fitted hinges to a door?
Yeah, we have.
We have.
You have?
Yeah.
All right, so how do you space the hinges out? Let's say the top hinge is
Yeah.
6 inches from the lintel.
Yes.
where would the bottom hinge be? 6 inches from the
I like
floor?
No,
the
it
fact
would be
that he's actually
lower.
taking seriously that we really have hung doors.
I have hung a door.
Oh, she has really hung a door. I've hung a
I probably
bloke.
hung it wrong.
The point is this. Let's say this is the jamb. So the up one, that's 6 inches from the top, but that's 9 inches up. In order to create the effect of them being equally spaced, because you're always looking down at the bottom one, and there's foreshortening. If you actually equally space them, it looks wrong. It looks as if the lower one is too low. So you have to do it to that. But in America, it's 5 and 10. And in some western states of America, it's 7 and 11, like
No.
a shop. Yes. It is. 7 inches down, 11 up. I know, it's a shocker. You heard it here first, Joe.
I'm frightened
I
now.
bet you are.
Is there a doctor
I
here?
want to imagine you measuring your door hinges when you get home and say, Stephen was right.
I'm going to send you a
6,
picture of me
9.
measuring my door hinges naked.
Yes, please. I want it. But the middle one goes exactly in between the two. So there's the 6, the 9, and then in the middle. There's the interesting thing about
Doors are
hinges.
78 inches long.
All doors.
Domestic doors, generally, you might have to take
That's
a bit
6'6".
How do you know that?
Bought a door recently.
You see?
Tell you
Who
why.
hung it? Who hung
Because-
it on its hinges?
My friend Keith is a carpenter.
Well, he'll know about that.
He's also a stand-up comedian, so it's a right laugh having him round.
Oh, my God.
The door handle kept turning like that, and turning and turning and turning, and I couldn't get into the loo. And I really needed to go, so I kicked the door in. And it's the only time I've ever kicked a door in. It's
rather
brilliant.
good.
And it was
Great
a really
feeling.
cheap,
Brenda
flimsy
in there.
door, and it smashed like that, and it exploded, and the door bit fell down, there was wood everywhere, and I burst in and had a crack.
Lovely. Very nice. When I left university, me and my friend Hugh Laurie shared a house, and we had a bit of work to do, and our plasterers, do you know who they were?
Oh,
Cannon and ball.
Charlie.
Charlie Hickson and
Whitehouse.
Paul
Yeah,
Whitehouse were our
Charlie.
plasterers.
And you were their inspiration.
Yes.
So many
That's
characters.
Exactly. Right.
Stephen, the fellas in the hall are awfully funny.
That's you, is it? Right. I'm telling you. You're bad.
What do you say we listen in on them and make a few jokes?
I think the boot was on the other foot. I think the boot was very much on the other foot. They overheard us being amusing in the kitchen. Now, finally, we plunge into the cupboard under the stairs to entangle ourselves in the kite strings of general ignorance. So, fingers on buzzers, and first one to name a drink made from beans.
Oh, it's got to be coffee.
No, coffee is made from the seeds of the coffee plant. It has no beans. It has cherries and berries and it has seeds, but although we
coffee
call
beans,
them
but
beans,
no beans.
it isn't a bean in the botanical sense. A bean, like Mr. Bean or bean beans, haricot beans, mung beans, runner beans,
I know different
French
types of beans
Oh,
as
good,
well.
a few. Kidney beans. It's not in that sense of bean. Bean. So that's it. You could have said
Baked bean juice.
Yes, a pea soup.
Call it
You could have
that?
said
I
pea
call it
soup.
baked bean juice.
What, the juice from a baked bean can?
Yeah.
The tomato
Yeah.
sauce.
Yeah.
It's sugar. It's sugar and water and tomato
So,
sauce.
Brainiac, what can we clean with that? The researcher's out the back now, sticking flowers in it, pouring it over dogs.
Do you know, I was at university, there was a young man who was called Heinz. I knew it wasn't his real name because he was actually an Etonian, rather sort of blonde-y guy. Really nice. Oh, hi. Really super guy. Very funny. Everything was hilarious. God, that's really funny, actually. Seriously funny. He was really nice. And I asked a friend who'd been at school with him, I said, oh, yeah, his name's William or Piers or Hamish or whatever, you know. I said, why does everyone call him Heinz? He said, no one. It was at school. Somebody burst into his room without knocking and he had a mound of baked beans all over his knob and he was wanking in it. So this poor guy is called, and everyone's called him Heinz. He went, hi, yeah, absolutely, yes, yeah, Heinz.
I used to put boiling hot cheese on top of my beans. I hope you didn't.
Oh, on top of your beans. Thank God for that.
Is beans a euphemism in this case?
When you go in and he's there, what do you say in that situation?
Sorry.
Black pepper, sir. What kind of culinary accident do you have to have to discover the pleasure of the beans? And the old fella
he spilt it in his lap. He just sat down to watch the telly. He went, oh, no.
Mind you. Oh, hell. So, yes, pea soup, you could have said, of course, is something you drink that's made from beans. Coffee is really a fruit and made from seeds, not beans. Now, have you ever slid down a banister?
Yes.
I have to say...
Yes, I have.
Please don't destroy Alan's childhood.
There is, bless him. Yes, the point is this, that the little thin up and down is our balusters, sometimes wrongly called banisters, and the bit on the top is the balustrade. So you should be sliding down a balustrade, not a banister.
When I was at college, I slid down a barrister.
Did you? Did you hit yourself on the knob at the end?
Very good indeed. Anyway, and now, for 200 points, what did Wordsworth smell?
Well, daffodils, obviously.
Oh, dear, that's
Clouds. He smelt clouds.
Smelt clouds? No, he didn't. When he wandered lonely as one, he didn't, no. The answer, I'm afraid, is nothing. He was anosmic. He had no sense of smell at all. He could not smell anything. Yeah, it was Robert Southey and various others reported on this. He had no
Is that why
sense
he's
of smell.
looking kind of worried?
He is looking very worried there.
Well, what does it smell like?
He only makes 2 references to smells in all his poems. You can be congenitally anosmic, or you could get it from a bang on the head, or occasionally from vitamin A deficiency. So it's time, ladies and gentlemen, one and all, to look at the scores. Do you know, for the first time on the show, and she's the outright winner with -3, it's Jessica Stevenson! Phil comes in second for the men with -4. And Joe, third place with -18. Oh! That means the man who'll be cleaning the studio and waxing the floor is none other than Alan Davies on -64. That's all from Joe, Jessica, Phil, Alan and from me. And I leave you with one last good housekeeping hint, courtesy of Viz Magazine's Top Tips. Press Rice Krispies into the treads of your car tyres for that expensive gravel drive look. Happy hoovering. Goodbye. Thank you very much.
And you can see the QI Christmas special over on BBC 4 now. Or you can see it here on BBC 2 next Friday at 10. Stay with us tonight, though. We've got Ashes highlights at 11:30.